Thank you so much to One Nucleus. Thank you to On Helix. Thank you to Tony for giving us the opportunity to be here today. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to deliver today's keynote. Predominantly, I want to share our views on how we see innovation scaling and the role ecosystems play in that. I represent Kadans Science Partner. We are operator of one of the largest life sciences and tech real estate platform across Europe's most research-dense clusters. In my opinion, the biggest challenge facing biotechs today isn't scientific innovation. It's scaling innovation efficiently, in my opinion. You're going to have to bear with me because I'm going to have to, there you go, this works. Now, over the past sort of 18 months, I have been privileged and I've had extensive time to go and meet with 100 of biotech companies, government representatives, academia, pharmaceutical organizations across Europe. And one observation that continues to come up is, we don't have an innovation problem. We have a scaling problem here in Europe. Now, look, let's be honest. Europe produces excellent science. Europe produces and attracts great investments. Europe creates exciting opportunities. Yet, when you come to it, many struggle to move between discovery and commercialization. And we must ask ourselves that question. Why is it? It's not because science fails. It is because scaling is extremely difficult. Now, every biotech, as you all probably know, has the same ambition. It is to move as quickly and as efficiently between discovery and commercialization. But what really does slow innovation? In our opinion, or in my opinion for that matter, it's the lack of scaling. Now, scaling depends on more than just science. It requires capital, it requires talent, it requires infrastructure, it requires regulation, manufacturing, investors, data. None of these will create value independently. Innovation only happens when they come together. And we must do everything as an industry to make sure that we can bring them intentionally together, because that is where we will unlock this problem of scaling across Europe. Now, science is no longer linear. I mean, gone are the days, where academia was solely responsible for spinning academic innovation, which resulted in companies being formed, and then companies grew eventually to become the pharmas. Today, everything is interconnected, right? I mean, you have universities working with hospitals, investors working with regulators, pharma working with technology partners. Everybody is working together. I mean, let's look at some of the most recent UK successes. I mean, I look at Isomorphic Labs for argument's sake. I mean, they have successfully raised 2.7 billion in the last 2 years across Series A and Series B. They didn't spin out of academia. They spun out of Google DeepMind. But when you look at it, the sheer money that they have raised, how is that even possible? They're a preclinical company. There's nothing that they've taken into humans for now. Another great example would be Marix Bio. If you look at Marix, they're based in London Innovation Centre, where we own and operate that innovation hub. They spun out of Crick in collaboration with UCL, successfully raised 95 million last year, got acquired by Novartis earlier this week in a 1.6 billion deal. The largest deal of its kind for an ADC platform company that is not yet clinical. I mean, 1.6 billion, that's quite remarkable, I must admit. But then my question is, we celebrated that success, and rightly so, I understand. But then imagine if this ADC platform drug does make it to market. We will pay 20-folds for it to get access to that drug, because that's not going to be funded, that's not going to be helping us here, will it? But it's a different perspective how you see it. Now, at the heart of scaling innovation problem, in my opinion, lies the sort of CapEx trap. And this is where I think Kadans brings a lot of value. Now, every £1 spent building labs is £1 not invested in science. Now, let me ask the CEOs and the co-founders in the audience. I mean, can you guys raise hands how many we have? Imagine, let me ask you a question. Imagine you raise 20 million Series A. Would you spend 4 million on building labs? Or would you go and hire maybe 20 of the brightest scientists? I think I know what you would do, right? I mean, that's why infrastructure matters. And this is where Kadans really comes into play. I mean, we bring value by investing on your behalf in CapEx so that we can take that burden off your balance sheet so that it frees up your capital, which can then be deployed towards R&D, which ultimately allows you to get to your next inflection point. It extends your cash runway, and it de-risks the investment on the behalf of venture capital. Now, Kadans has a very different model, but one that actually works and works quite well. So we're not a venture capital, we're not scientists. Traditionally, company would fund infrastructure, company would fund fit-outs, and that means capital will get tied up. Kadans Science Partner, we fund infrastructure. We fund investments in CapEx, in building specialist labs, in building manufacturing spaces, and there's nothing that we haven't built. Think of vivarium, clean rooms, CO2 wet labs, CO3 wet labs. We've done it all. I genuinely feel innovation should be funded and not concrete. Now, we don't just simply develop buildings, right? We curate ecosystems. And this is where I feel Kadans also is exceptionally good in what they have been able to establish over the past 30 years since it has been operational. We build ecosystems built around biotech at the core. Now, the idea is to ensure that when a biotech comes and embed themselves in a Kadans location, that they have access to all of these key stakeholders, whether it's academia, whether it's center of excellence, whether it's clinicians, whether it's subject matter experts, it's investors. It is our job to make sure that you have access to all of these key stakeholders, because that is the only way we believe it will allow you to get to your next inflection point, whatever that may be. You want to move from preclinic to clinic, or you wish to move from clinic to proof of concept, or to out-licensing, or to partnering. That, in our opinion, is the one way where we can help companies be successful. Now, I want to ask, why is curating the right ecosystem necessary? And more importantly, why now? We know, and we've seen, capital is getting harder and harder to raise. We heard it from the previous panel. Investors are expecting greater capital efficiency. Science is becoming more interdisciplinary. Infrastructure is becoming more specialized. Nations are competing for innovation. Within nations, cities are competing for innovation. Oxford wants to be ahead of Cambridge. Cambridge wants to be ahead of London. And it isn't just a UK-wide thing. We work across Europe. I go into Germany. Munich wants to be ahead of Berlin. Berlin wants to be ahead of Mainz. We must stop working in isolations. If we want to overcome this problem as Europe, as a bloc, we need to stop working in isolations and we need to come together. Now, our answer to the scaling problem is to really help build Europe's connected innovation ecosystem. Now, Kadans has 30 plus clusters in Europe and some of the most research-dense innovation districts. Look, we're not scientists. We're investors who happen to know how to build thriving ecosystems, which then results in helping companies scale and be successful and get to their next inflection points. I also believe the power of proximity is fundamentally important. Through this connected European ecosystem, we help facilitate meetings. We provide opportunities where companies can meet with investors, where they can meet with pharma, where they can meet with collaborators, with partners, recruit talent, raise funding. When you intentionally bring all of these stakeholders together and you embed them in those clusters, it is bound to lead to a thriving ecosystem, which then leads to the success of these companies and to innovation. Now, the next generation of ecosystem or the next generation of innovation districts will be judged by the collaboration they enable and the companies that they help scale. Now, tomorrow's discoveries, in our opinion, won't come purely because biology advances. They'll happen because biology converges with AI, with quantum, with advanced computing, with engineering, with manufacturing. And this is the reason why Kadans is working on a vision to bring quantum into commercial mainstream and to make it commercially accessible, not just to people with deeper pockets or to the industry partners that can afford it, but to the young innovators who are working at the forefront of innovation. Now, what could the innovation campus of 2035 look like? Our answer to this is One North Quay, which is the largest innovation center in the world once complete in 2028. Now, our vision is to one day move from bench to market. It's very ambitious, it's very bold, but it's one that we believe in. And the idea is that One North Quay will house pharma as anchor, and that will be surrounded by biotech companies that therapeutically align to that pharma's interest or their pipeline. There will be CDMOs, there will be CROs, there will be vivarium, there will be GMP scale commercial manufacturing. The vision is truly to move from bench to market in one vertical innovation center. And that's not just because it's our development, but because we feel the industry is headed in this direction. Now, innovation is no longer a local challenge. I think it's a European challenge, and we believe ecosystems will determine who succeeds at the end. I want to leave you guys with our latest development, which is Merlin Place in North Cambridge. It's state-of-the-art, purpose-built innovation hub, which we have delivered to the market. That is to help life sciences and tech companies. When a company graduates from an incubator and they need to go and scale up, rather than investing their precious Series A or their capital into laboratories or into fit-outs, come because we've already made that investment. We will help preserve your capital so you can then deploy that towards science, which is what matters the most. And that brings me to the end. Thank you all. If you have any questions, I'll be more than delighted to answer them.